Hello. So while this number gave me peace of mind personally, for 1 in 5 of us, it's an often ignored and ticking time bomb. It's known as Lp(a). In this video, I explain the key takeaways from a really fascinating interview between Rip Esselstyn and Dr. Akil Taher, where they share some surprising insights into what is a little known subject. So let's dive in. So first up, what is Lp(a)? Dr. Taher describes it as LDL's evil cousin. Like LDL, it's atherogenic, meaning it clogs arteries. But what makes it evil is the extra protein it carries. This means it's more inflammatory, more sticky, more liable to cause clotting. Dr. Taher says it's particularly good at calcifying the aortic valve, which leads to narrowing, known as aortic stenosis, which can lead to potential heart failure. The doctor frames Lp(a) as the most important test your doctor probably hasn't even ordered yet. So the percentage of people that have been tested for Lp(a) is extremely low. Just 1% of Americans have had their Lp(a) tested, and only 1.2% of medical professionals, of doctors in America, have proactively asked for this test as well. So it's probably the same in the UK where I'm based. In fact, Dr. Akil mentions that in most European countries, not England, everyone gets tested for Lp(a) at least once. This is a good idea as it's genetically inherited, so a person should only need to be tested once in their lifetime to get the kind of baseline risk. The doctor does make a good point here, though, about when you go for your test, specifically order the nanomole per litre test, not the milligram per deciliter version, because the former tests the number of particles, the latter tests the actual mass itself, so it's less accurate. Generally, of course, we need to do much better to raise awareness of this important marker, especially among the general population and in our medical schools too. Until then, as is often the case, it's up to us to take control. One of the most surprising revelations in this interview, which took Rip by surprise too, was that statins actually raise Lp(a). And this can be by as much as 15 to 20%. A word of caution here, though, Dr. Taher doesn't provide the specific biological or molecular explanation for why this is the case. So definitely do your own research and speak to a medical professional or speak to your doctor before making any decisions around your statin use. Dr. Taher detailed his own fascinating health history. It wasn't until last year, when he was 77, that he asked his cardiologist to order an Lp(a) test. This is when he discovered having sky-high numbers. His milligrams per deciliter were 300. Remember, that's the mass of Lp(a). And later on, he ordered the nanomole test and found that his particle count was at 175, which is high. Despite not being obese, living a relatively healthy lifestyle, and having normal blood pressure. So when Rip asked the doctor what he would advise a patient to do who's been told they have high Lp(a), alongside the usual caveats, of course, of speaking to your doctor, medical professional, and getting your ApoB tested. Remember, ApoB gives you the true picture of all dangerous particles, not just LDL particles. He recommended that people follow his own personal example. So what does Dr. Taher do to reduce his Lp(a)? Well, he combines lifestyle medicine with specific clinical interventions to lower his Lp(a) and his LDL ApoB levels. So first on the list is, and perhaps unsurprisingly, given this was the Plantstrong podcast, he recommends adopting a very strict whole food plant-based diet. So for him, this means SOS free. So that's no sugar, no oil, no salt. And he said that research suggests that this can lower your Lp(a) by approximately 16%. Rather astoundingly, he said that amla powder, or Indian gooseberry, which he uses in his morning routine on a daily basis, he said that there are observational studies which show it can reduce Lp(a) by 30 to 40%. Dr. Taher also recommends Repatha, which is a PCSK9 inhibitor. He uses this as a clinical intervention due to having the sky-high Lp(a) and takes Repatha shots. This, he says, brought his total cholesterol under 100 and reduced his Lp(a) by 30 to 40%. He also takes a daily baby aspirin, specifically to counter the aforementioned clotting risk, the thrombogenic risk associated with Lp(a). But he says to take heed here of the risks because it's an antiplatelet medication, so there are bleeding risks, there are ulcer risks. So if you do adopt this strategy yourself, make sure you consult a doctor or medical professional before going ahead. Nevertheless, through these levers, Dr. Taher managed to get his Lp(a) from a high of 175 nanomoles per litre down to an intermediate range of 118 nanomoles per litre, which is impressive stuff. This episode was an absolute mine of information, for me anyway. Among the more surprising revelations, we learned that risk profiles for raised Lp(a) differ dramatically and rather mysteriously, it would seem, between ethnicities and racial groups. So, to give you context, approximately 1 in 5 people worldwide, that's 20%, have an elevated Lpa level. But the risk is higher in South Asian populations, of which Dr. Taher is among. This is people, who live in India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Pakistan. 1 in 4 people, 25%, have elevated levels. The risk is greater still for people of African descent, where 1 in 3 individuals, 33%, have high raised Lpa(a). Rather interestingly, though, Dr. Taher notes that surrounding countries in East Asia, like China and Taiwan, don't typically show high Lp(a) levels. So quite rightly, Dr. Taher emphasises that awareness is particularly critical for South Asian and Black communities, as individuals who may appear healthy, they've got normal weight, normal blood pressure, they look athletic, they could carry this hidden genetic risk, just not know about it. This might explain why you sometimes see stories of like footballers dropping dead on the pitch in the middle of a game. So among the many truth bombs in this video, Dr. Taher also said that women should retest during or after menopause, as Lp(a) levels can spike during this, hormonal transition. So even if your previous tests were normal, it's worth getting tested again during or after menopause. So then, given your Lp(a) is determined by genetics, if you test positive, as he calls test positive, if you have high Lp(a), make sure that the loved ones in your direct family know about it, your siblings, your parents even, and encourage them to get tested too. Taher also suggests testing children as young as 5 if there is a known family risk. Common sense dictates that adopting a protective lifestyle is something you should consider whatever your Lp(a) numbers are. It just makes sense. Both Rip and Dr. Taher would, of course, recommend going Plantstrong, shifting to a whole food, plant-based diet, adopting the SOS thing, because it is believed to reduce your Lp(a) by about 16%, which is significant. If you're already vegan like me, this might mean eliminating ultra-processed junk food, leaning more into the G-bombs that Dr. Furman recommends, your greens, your beans, your onions, your mushrooms, your berries, your seeds, that kind of thing. And this is what I try to do myself, within reason. So since you can't change the Lp(a) gene itself yet, you must be proactive in controlling what you can control. So blood pressure, blood sugar, body weight. These are good ways to minimize your overall total risk, your total risk load. If you have Lp(a), all the more reason to double down on those aspects, I would say. So I'll flash up on screen the ranges according to Dr. Taher for normal, intermediate, high, extremely high. So while I don't have personal before or afters for my Lp(a), I got tested a while ago, I think in January, and they were at levels of 9.91 nanomoles per litre. So well below normal. In fact, I might get retested because that seems suspiciously low to me. But if it's true, I'm very grateful to have these levels, and I should really thank my mother. Thanks, Mum. But if mine had come back high or extremely high, I would definitely go and see my GP. I'd definitely do something about it. I'd consider Repatha shots. I'd consider baby aspirin. As mentioned earlier, I'd look into amla fruit. They have observational studies to show they could be effective. It's worth looking into. The other food I think he mentioned was almonds. Almonds, worth looking into those as well. Bottom line is you can do something about it. You have options. You have nutritional levers, you have pharmaceutical levers you can look into. It's not the end of the world if you have high Lp(a). You just have to manage it. Dr. Taher sums it up really well. He says, what you don't know might hurt you, but what you learn today could be life-saving. The main message is this: get tested.